Okay, so let's start. My name is Alexander. I'm lead of research department in distributed lab. I have some experience in cryptography, more than 8 years. So yeah, my everyday activity is doing some tricks with math. And I will be one of lectures on this course. There is the first question in our common chat. There was a question, what is a blockchain? It's pretty simple. Blockchain, it's like technology. Technology that defines how exactly you can organize your own database, the way when different parties who can trust each other can synchronize their own history, his own database, for to the same result. For example, if I'm Alice, Bob, Carol, etc., we are different participants. Every of these participants has his own node, his own validator node or auditor node, it doesn't matter. And we should define the way how exactly we will receive the same state of this database. And blockchain, that's a way. So that's a way to organize the database in this environment where I can trust to Alice, I can trust to Bob, etc., but I can verify that all events in their history and in mine the same, and Alice in this environment can't replace the block in the past, because if she did that, I will receive the separate hash, the different hash, the different database state, etc. So I can really quickly define where exactly some replacement happened. So that's a way for organizing the database or organizing the history of events, transactions, etc. So let me share my screen, and please confirm that you can see that.
I can see that.
Okay, that's fine. So yeah, today we will talk about Bitcoin. You could ask why we start with Bitcoin protocol. I will answer because firstly, yeah, there are two main reasons. Firstly, it was the first dinosaurs, the first successful projects that displayed how exactly you can use blockchain technology, how you can use cryptography for creating some really decentralized environment and decentralized accounting system. Because before, yeah, there were some prototypes like DigiCash, Hashcash, etc. But this project were really prototypes. So they displayed how you can use some technology, but they didn't cover everything. But Bitcoin was the first successful project, and this project is live right now. And this project implemented the fully covered accounting system, where all processes are distributed between different parties. And the second reason, there are right now a lot of different projects that use that use cryptography, smart contracts, decentralized approaches, etc. But Bitcoin is the simplest organization because it doesn't use complex smart contracts. It doesn't use complex consensus reaching algorithms. So it uses proof of work, and that's the simplest way to organize the database. It used a really simple accounting model called UTXO. And if you will receive the understanding how Bitcoin works, it will simplify for you all future knowledge. So with knowledge how Bitcoin works, you can define how Ethereum works, how Monero works, etc., quickly. But without understanding the basic principles of Bitcoin, it will be complicated for you to define new technologies and new platforms, new systems, and so on. So let's recall problems of current payment systems. And yeah, it's obvious, but let's recall. The first one, users don't control their balances. It means that you can use your banking application, but when you use that, you don't control your money. You just can send some requests to the servers, and you can receive some responses from this service. But you can't track anything. You can't be sure that the balance will not be changed by the separate party. You can't track that some transaction wasn't replaced by another one in past. And also you don't have like any cryptographic proofs that the balance is displayed on your screen is correct. So that's impossible. Bitcoin replaces that, and later we will discuss how exactly. The second one, transactions are not atomic. If you, for example, if you at some point of time tried to send some wire transfer, you can see that from sender to recipient, there are several hopes that should process your payment. It means that on each this hope, your transaction can be reverted, can be rejected, your money can be frozen, because these like different hopes can be regulated separately. And it means that your transaction passes the one policy on one this hope or hub. It shouldn't, it's like, it can be rejected on another one. And it means that after you send a payment, several like days can be done, and your payment will be rejected, and you should like repay again. So that's a problem. And you can be sure that if you click on send button in your application, the receiver will receive his money. And funds may be frozen, funds may be stolen. So there can be different like operational mistakes on the server side. So it doesn't guarantee that your money will be like at a time in like a good place and safety. So what Bitcoin is? Bitcoin is a currency. Moreover, Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. What the prefix crypto means that in Bitcoin, all processes in accounting system are distributed. By the processes, as we mentioned before, you can mean data storing, transaction processing, issuance, key management, etc., etc. So if you see like any process in Bitcoin and just you can look into this process, you can be sure that this process is distributed. Issuance of new coins is distributed process. Controlling keys, distributed process, because each user controls only his keys. Transaction performance also. So everyone can deploy his own validator or auditor node and like process all transactions, all existing transactions in this network. So yeah, that's a totally independent currency. There isn't like the single organization that can control the Bitcoin. There isn't like any trusted authority that can like replace the current rules of Bitcoin and like just take your money, for example. So that's only the system that's supported by a lot of different validators and auditors. What the validator is some like software and hardware that are processing transactions. But everyone can have his own instance of this same kind of application. Second one, user directly controls their balances. It means that each user has one or more cryptographic pairs, and every user can manage his account using this key pair. It means that nobody can send transactions, send money from my account without knowledge of this key pair. If nobody before steal this key pair from my wallet, nobody can send transaction from like my name. And the last one, the global state, is been formed by processing all transactions in history. Moreover, these transactions should be processed by everyone. And everyone, so this transaction are organized in the chain of blocks. Each validator, each auditor has his own block history and his own database. And it means if some attacker wants to replace some transaction, or this attacker wants to change the end state of database, he should do that on each node. Because in Bitcoin and like the situation in like any cryptocurrency, everyone can verify everyone. Okay, if you want to explain what the Bitcoin is by the simple words, you can just provide the analog of digital gold. So if you, for example, after some time will explain to non-technical like person what exactly what the Bitcoin is, you can just provide like this analog here. So what's the properties of the gold? The first one, limited quantity. It means that after some time, the new gold will not appear in our like world, because the amount of gold in our world is limited and nobody can reproduce that. Different scientists can reproduce the like other materials, maybe cheaper or like so with different price, but they can't reproduce the original gold. So in Bitcoin, the same state. So after some year, the new Bitcoins will not be appear in the system. So their issuance will be stopped. Next one, need to mine. In physical world, you should provide like some power for receiving a new gold from like our planet. In Bitcoin, you should provide some hash power or like some power for resolving like mass issue for receiving new Bitcoins on your account. So you should spend some time, some resources for receiving like this asset. The next one, independence. So it means that gold can't be controlled only like by one organization. The same you can say in Bitcoin. So Bitcoin isn't controlled by mining pools, by exchanges, by Satoshi Nakamoto. So it's independent currency. Then divisibility. So you can use not like integer Bitcoins, but ever the small part of this Bitcoins. The smallest part is Satoshi. So you can send to another account only one Satoshi without like sending the full Bitcoin. And the last one, unable to copy. It means that you can't take some piece of the gold and just make a copy from the air. And the same, you can take a part of Bitcoin and create the copy of this Bitcoin, because rules are supported by each network participant. And if you try to do that, everyone can verify and everyone can check if all rules are performed, and it means that the number of Bitcoins is limited. And if somebody wants to create a new Bitcoin from heirs, so each member of the network can see this fact. You can create the separate Bitcoin, the separate accounted system with the separate currency. It can have like the same rules as original Bitcoin, but it will be like the separate accounting system. So there will not like be any relations between Bitcoin and this new accounting system. Ever they are working and supported by the same rules. Okay. Who can answer from our chat how is the price of Bitcoin formed? Who knows or who can provide some thoughts? I can see our chat. Market value, it's pretty close, but a little bit different.
It's the agreement of people, right?
Yeah. And as I see, Volodymyr Kravchuk just answered that by the rule of supply and demand. So that's exactly this way, because Yes, so each person in the world can define how much exactly Bitcoin costs for him. And you can, for example, enter to some exchange, to Binance or some different, and see some price, some relation between USD and Bitcoin. But it can be different from like one exchange to another. It can be different like from the location, etc., etc. So that's only like some agreement between people, between two categories of people. The first category wants to sell this Bitcoin for some price, and the second category wants to buy Bitcoin also for some price. And maybe you heard before DOM, the depth of market. That's like same kind of the supply and demand, and some like average value between like these orders can represent you not the true price, but really like approximate, and that's it. So it means that the main thought here is that nobody can't define the price globally. So there isn't like the trusted authority who can say that tomorrow Bitcoin will cost 1,000 euro per one. So that's totally like independent. And as for the gold, everyone can set his own relation to the gold and his own relation to Bitcoin. And like that's the main difference between currencies, between traditional fiat currencies and Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin not a currency, it's more like a resource, like oil, like gold, like any limited resource in this world. Okay, and you can see on like different explorers how the price of the Bitcoin was changed over the time. So there is a myth that price of Bitcoin will be like higher and higher, but you can see that it's wrong. So sometimes the price is lower, sometimes price is higher. So it's defined only like by the market. Okay, there are a couple of points why Bitcoin became popular. The first one, that's a financial instrument that works without limitations. So nobody can block your payment. Nobody can just take your money and lock them or freeze them. So there isn't organizations that can require some kind of KYC procedure when you use Bitcoin. Because before you put your Bitcoins in some deposit in exchange or some like custodial, you're totally are responsible for all actions with these Bitcoins. It means it's like a digital cash. You can use your $100 with paper form for payment to everyone for everything anytime. Is Bitcoin like the same, but you can pay with Bitcoin in digital form. So, and that's why Bitcoin became popular, because it's pretty useful and can be blocked. The second one, no registration process. So you don't need to pass like any identification procedure before using Bitcoin. So you shouldn't pass through different KYC programs or providing your email address, password. So yeah, Bitcoin like works without that. You only should generate your own key pair, and you can receive payments for this key pair. Later, you can use the same key pair for spending your money, for sending your Bitcoins to another accounts. That's it. So if you use Bitcoins on some exchange, so for if you want to buy or sell that, etc., etc. So some exchange can require this identification procedure, but on the Bitcoin level, on the level of the Bitcoin as a protocol, you doesn't need that. The next one, Bitcoin can be used anonymously. It means that in transaction details, no info about you and your about recipient of this money, no address, no name, last name, etc., etc. So that's only like that some money should be spent from one account and should be accounted to another one. That's it. And additionally, like cryptographic proofs that you're owner of this money right now. But you don't need to provide like any information about you. Moreover, the Bitcoin architecture allows you to use additional privacy options like mixers, like coin shuffle, coin join, etc., for increasing the level of privacy when you perform some payment. And the last one, censorship resistant. It means that nobody can censor your transactions. Nobody can say that like these bitcoins are black, this like gray, etc., etc. That's only opinion, but you can pay with that without like this checking services, because that's like a digital cash. So nobody can provide restrictions for dollars. I don't know. Okay, what does Bitcoin allow? First one, you can pay anyone. For that, your recipient only like should generate a key pair and provide your public address. That's it. You can use this address for paying them Bitcoins. The next one, as much as you want. So like any amount of coins that you have on your wallet, you can send that to another account. So, and there isn't a limitation on the Bitcoin protocol. So nobody can't allow you to pay like with less or high amount. So you can pay any amount of coins. The next one, for anything. Yes, sometimes that's a problem because people use Bitcoin for buying different drugs, etc., weapons, etc. So, but that's not a problem of Bitcoin. That's a problem of people who use Bitcoin. But a lot of people think that Bitcoin is used only like for this some kind of crime deals, but that's wrong. Because just the properties of the Bitcoin allows to achieve such features as the privacy, also like censorship resistance. But yeah, that's your opinion, and you can select how exactly you will use these properties. For someone, that's important. Not reveal them like his personal data and keep his transaction histories hidden. For somebody, it's like flexible way to buy something like limited. And the last one, anywhere in the world. Moreover, the recipient of these funds and sender of these funds, they don't need to have internet connection for doing that, because you can generate transaction offline and later just transfer this some kind of commitment to another account by using like any protocol, Bluetooth, for example, or through like you can create this transaction on the paper and send to another like person, and then when he have internet connection, he will send this transaction to the network and it will be confirmed by all validators. So you can pay anywhere. The like physical location doesn't matter in this case. Yeah, who created Bitcoin? Nobody knows. Maybe somebody knows, but he or she didn't tell about that. There is like this person, Satoshi Nakamoto, and he firstly published the white paper of the Bitcoin, and later he publishes the code of the Bitcoin. But who exactly is this person or group of people? Nobody knows. And now it's like nobody can say that I'm Satoshi Nakamoto, because for doing that, he should provide you appropriate signatures. He should provide you, he should prove that he is owner of the first minted Bitcoin. But actually nobody did that before. Yeah, let's go through the key dates with Bitcoin. Firstly, white paper of the Bitcoin was published. It was 31st October 2008. Later was created the Genesis block, and we started our course on the birth of the Bitcoin. This is 3rd January. Later, pay-to-script hash protocol upgrade was accepted. This upgrade allows you to pay not on particular address, but it allows you to pay directly on the hash value of some conditions. Conditions can be different, but that's like the main difference between you can pay only for some hash value without revealing the original conditions, and only later the recipient of this money should publish the initial conditions and prove that these conditions are satisfied. And that's a method that allows you to pay less as the sender of these coins for the transaction fee. Later, there was like the first hard fork of Bitcoin. It called Bcash. So that's a totally like different cryptocurrency with different rules right now, and they have like only the same history with the original Bitcoin, but for now it's a totally like different accounting systems. Later, community accepted segregated witness proposal. This proposal allows to separate the main data in transactions like amounts, recipient, etc., from the witness, from digital signatures, or in other words, from proof of ownership. It's pretty interesting because the proof of ownership, like one of the biggest part of the transaction, and if we separate this data from like another ones, we can pay less with transaction fees. So users will pay only like for the main data, but witness data will be like shifted out the block structure. So it will be like validated the same way. It will be stored by validators, but it will not be included in the block itself. Later on some lecture, we'll discuss how exactly this working. But for now, it's like a way how you can do your system more scalable, how you can increase the capacity of your accounting system without like without different problems that are linked with increasing the block size and so on. Later, there was a protocol Lightning Network. So firstly, payment channels were created, and later it was transformed to Lightning Network. Lightning Network, it's a layer 2 solution that allows you to send transactions directly to your counterparty, but without the transaction in the main chain. So all these actions will be separated, and you can send Bitcoins instantly without waiting of block confirmation, without paying additional fees. So this logic, it's kind of, just imagine that you froze your money in some safe place and issue some commitment that you have this amount of like Bitcoins, and you can send these Bitcoins to another like account. And later you just could send no Bitcoins, but this commitment to another person. And using this commitment, he can pay that to another person and another person, and the money in the same place. So in main chain, no transactions that moves this money from one account to another one. But on the second layer, you're exchanging only like commitment for this money. And you shouldn't pay for that. It can be done instantly, and pretty like flexible solution when the main cons of the Bitcoin is the capacity of Bitcoin and amount of money that you should pay for fees. And Lightning Network can allows you to use Bitcoin without these problems. That's like the main opportunity it provides. And now our community is working for accepting a new network update. This is Schnorr signatures and Taproot. It's like two technologies that allows to increase more the capacity of Bitcoin, because Schnorr signatures is a more efficient signatures than the CBSA, and they allow you to aggregate a lot of different signatures only like in one value. And Taproot, that's additional protocol that allows you to create a tree of different conditions and use that the most flexible way you want. Yeah, that proposal was more than 1 year ago, and now community is working for accepting that. That's pretty interesting that segregated witness was approved only after 4 years of discussion. So Bitcoin community is pretty decentralized, and that's difficult sometimes because they need a lot of time for proving something. Okay, then, yeah, we mentioned before that issuance in Bitcoin is distributed. Let's see how exactly it's organized. So issuance process is decentralized. So yes, that's clear. Then the issuance rules are controlled by mathematical algorithms. And later we will see how exactly issuance of Bitcoin is working. Then the users themselves perform the issuance. So yeah, there isn't a single organization who can mine new Bitcoins and distribute it to users. So each user, if he has enough of computation power, can create new Bitcoins and account them in own balance. So there isn't one trusted authority who can perform this process. And new coins are distributed among active users. Who are these active users? That's the users that deployed their own validator nodes and taken participant in consensus reaching. So they are calculating some difficult math problem, providing the result of these calculations, and if this result is correct, they are receiving Bitcoins for their accounts. So yeah, issuance of Bitcoin defined by the rules of the Bitcoin protocol. So what's the Bitcoin protocol? That's open sourced implementation of the Bitcoin. So it's keep it on GitHub and different many places. It can be controlled by everyone. Everyone can set up his own node, and everyone can use any software he wants. But the software should be powered by the Bitcoin protocol. So the rules of the protocol should be the same on all validator nodes. The protocol of issuance presumes that since the start of the system, on average, every 10 minutes, 15 new coins appear. It was firstly, but then there is a separate rule. It says about that approximately every 4 years, the number of new coins is halved. And you can see that on this curve, that from 2009 to 2013, for each new block in the system, the 15 new Bitcoin appeared. Later, the amount of new issued tokens is halved, then more. It's so why this model were created in Bitcoin, nobody knows. It was the idea of Satoshi Nakamoto, and these rules are supported by all Bitcoin participants. But why exactly this model? Nobody knows. There are a lot of different systems. They have different models, but Bitcoin presumes this one. Okay, and the total amount, it's a little bit less than 21 million Bitcoins will be issued. So we can expect that in that the 2140 will be the last year where the last Bitcoin will be issued. So then the issuance of the Bitcoin will be stopped, but it doesn't mean that Bitcoin will not exist. then validators will support the accounting system, but they will receive only network fees. So they will not receive a new issued coins, but users will totally cover validators' expenses. Okay, that's it. Yeah, there is a slide that Pavel mentioned before that there are 3 different types how accounting system can be organized. The traditional organization is centralized with one hub who serves all clients. Second one is close to the current banking system, where you have several nodes and of several like centralized points or authorities, and each authority supports limited amount of clients. But banks can iterate one with other, and so there we can call that it's a decentralized system. And the last type of organization, it's peer-to-peer system. So it's a distributed system, and that presumes that all connections is organized between end users. So everyone can deploy and set his own node and connect to another node. For example, in this case, if some node will be broken or lose its connection, it doesn't matter because system will be supported by a lot of different nodes, by the way. Okay. Yeah, Bitcoin has several disadvantages. The first one, that's a high network maintenance cost. So Bitcoin consumes more power than, for example, Cyprus. And yes, it's a problem. And a lot of people say that's a problem. And in different protocols, in different accounting systems, they use a different consensus enrichment algorithms. For example, yeah, proof of stake is more like efficient than proof of work from the perspective of energy consumption, but it has the different like attacker models, different assumptions, etc., etc. So it's like totally different. But Bitcoin now is working on proof of work, and I believe that this protocol will not be changed because it's pretty efficient from the security perspective, and proof of work is one of the most robust algorithm that exists now. The next one, slow payment processing. Yeah, the block in Bitcoin is limited by 1 megabyte, and it means that and one block can be performed approximately within 10 minutes. It means that you can process only about from 2 to 3,000 of transactions per 10 minutes. That's like really like low capacity, because Visa, for example, supports hundreds million amount of transactions per second, but Bitcoin is limited by this value. And so, yeah, that's a reason for someone to say that Bitcoin is slow, Bitcoin isn't scalable. But for example, if you use Lightning Network, you will like receive the pretty good capacity. But with original Bitcoin, that's a problem. Payment data is public and available to anyone. So yes, as it says, everyone can verify everything. It means that everyone can see all transactions initiated by your wallet or your account. And there are several services who are focused on investigating the whole transaction history in Bitcoin. So the services here say that this Bitcoins, for example, took a participant and not like clear deals. That's Bitcoin took the participant in something different. So yeah, they can analyze the full history and provide like the full report. And that's a problem because sometimes people don't want if everyone can check everything linked with his own wallets. But the architecture of the Bitcoin allows you to use additional privacy method for keeping your balances hidden from another users. By default, you can just mix your transactions with transactions of other participants. There are several improvements. These improvements implemented in such protocol like Monero, Green, etc., etc. So in original Bitcoin protocol, it's not supported by default, but the architecture of the Bitcoin allows to apply them. And the last one, that's high fees for payments. And that's more important, these fees aren't predictable. It means that you can't expect how much money you should pay for sending the next transactions, because at any points of time, system can be differently loaded. At some point of time, can be like a lot of users that wants to confirm their transaction, and it means that you should concurrate with another users for the place in this block. But block size is limited, and your goal is put your transaction in the dedicated space. But if there are a lot of other people who also want to keep their transaction in this block, you will concurrate, and this motivates you to pay more for processing your transaction. And there's a problem, but Bitcoin engineers is working for resolving this scalability issue. And now fees is, I would say, it's pretty predictable, but anyway, if after some time more and more users will use Bitcoin, it will affect on the fees, on the final fees for transaction processing. There are a lot of alternative cryptocurrencies. For example, Litecoin. It has the different cryptographic functions for proof of work. It has some like differences from Bitcoin protocol, but it's pretty like close from the architecture perspective. There is a Dash. It's like cryptocurrency with higher privacy options. Monero, Zcash also. These protocols allow you to reach your privacy without like revealing like all public information. For example, in Monero, you can't track current balances, current transactions, because Monero protocol use different techniques. The first one is stealth addresses that allows you to mix your address with others. And the second one, that's range proofs with confidential transactions that allows you to hide your current balance and amount of coins that should be transferred with some payment. So so this protocol allows you to keep your identity and your transactions, and your wallet is totally hidden from other network participants. You can open, for example, crypto. You can open CoinMarketCap and see top 100 currencies, but not all from this is real cryptocurrencies, because as I mentioned before, the cryptocurrency should have all processes performed via like distributed way. So issuance, transaction processing, maintaining, etc., etc., etc. If all processes in some cryptocurrency are performed in a decentralized way, you can say, okay, that's a cryptocurrency. If at least the issuance in this currency is performed by trusted authority, it's like a national currency. So it can't be a crypto by definition. Okay, some statistics about Bitcoin network. So for now, Bitcoin has about 200 million users or wallets. Its capitalization about $232 billion, almost 400,000 payments per day. are performed by Bitcoin users, and the daily trading volume is about $15 billion in equivalent, of course. Okay, some basic principles of Bitcoin operation. The first one, each user should run the same software version. It's not totally true because a user can deploy any software version he wants, but at the same time, the majority of the system should support the same version of the protocol. Only like in this environment, they can reach a consensus between each other about like the end state of the database. So in conditions, if the majority of power of the network, or simplifying, the majority of the users will deploy the same software version that supports the same Bitcoin protocol version, we can expect that in this environment, consensus can be reached. And the second principle is users form a decentralized network. It means that the second organization is more, it's like the closest to organization of Bitcoin network, because you can install your own node, you can deploy your own node and connect that with like any different node you want. Okay, that's it. Yes, there are some myths about cryptocurrency. The first one, that the coin isn't equal to token and isn't equal to cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is totally independent. Coin can depend on some organization. For example, USDT, that's like a coin. That's like a stable coin that is powered by some centralized authority, by the Tether Foundation. Token, it's like digital ownership for something. It can be token powered by existing resource like gold or precious metals. It can be token that represents your voting right, or token that represents your some kind of shares. But it's something like digital. It's your digital ownership. It also can be controlled by centralized authority, or it can represent something. But cryptocurrency doesn't represent anything, because it's only like the digital resource. And so yeah, all processes are independent, and the properties like in physical system resource. Okay, the next one, there is a myth that Bitcoin will replace intermediaries and notaries. That's not true, because Bitcoin is only accounting system. Validators of Bitcoin can't verify if some intermediary is correct or is wrong, etc., etc. So that's only like accounting system, and it can account only what happens within this accounting system. So Bitcoin can't receive some information from external source and apply that to like internally. So it can be only oriented on transactions and blocks that happened in the history of the Bitcoin. Creator of Bitcoin can do everything. That's myth, because creator of Bitcoin or Satoshi Nakamoto can't affect on Bitcoin right now. Because he can't like change rules of Bitcoin. He can't just take all money of Bitcoin participants. He can do nothing. And that's like the big difference between some different existing cryptocurrencies. In some current accounting systems, some creators or some founders can affect the system and can motivate other participants to do something. Okay, and the last one, the price of Bitcoin will always rise. That's wrong. I have already shown you the chart how the price of the Bitcoin can be changed and how they changed it before. And you can see that so that's not obligatory condition for Bitcoin existence. Okay, yeah, and some lessons from Bitcoin for the financial industry. So Bitcoin doesn't require some firewalls, some power lines, some like, I don't know, guards and crocodiles for reaching the system security. Bitcoin doesn't use the term, some kind of terms is controlled zone or controlled perimeter. So it works totally decentralized way. Bitcoin doesn't have any administrators, any system owners, any like responsible parties who can recover your money or who can resolve some disputes, etc. Bitcoin doesn't have firewalls, so it's a deal of particular person. Will he use firewall for his software, or he will not use that? But in the Bitcoin, it doesn't matter. For example, if some node was broken, it doesn't affect on the whole system. Bitcoin is working without role management, so any user can take any role in the system. So it can be just a user who sends some Bitcoins and receives some Bitcoins. User can deploy his own validator node, and he can take participant in consensus reaching within the system. If user doesn't want to take the part in the consensus, he can deploy auditor node with whole history, but without like some kind of processing. So he can verify everything, but he will not compute the resource-intensive task. And Bitcoin doesn't have a physical protection. This protection can be set on the separate nodes, but that's a decision of the particular user or owner of this validator or auditor node itself. So yeah, Bitcoin shows us how exactly you can organize your own accounting system that will not require any traditional security mechanisms. So Bitcoin uses cryptography. It uses decentralized technologies. It uses some kind of game theory. So it works only like using method, and it doesn't require like any additional method for security achievement. Okay, that's it. Let's switch to questions. Yeah, you can ask a question by voice, because there are a lot of in our common chat.
Hi there. If I could ask a question, was this discussion in the chat based on one of the questions in the quiz, and I'm trying to clarify something for myself. And there was this statement that wallets don't need internet connection, sure. which seems to be which was marked as incorrect in the quiz. So I'm as far as I know, I always knew that hardware wallets can transmit the signature via, say, Bluetooth or USB to another device that then can have the internet connection. Someone saying it's incorrect and we still need the internet connection. So I'm really trying to understand.
Okay, yeah, that's really good question, because you know that wallet can include a lot of different models. The main model of the wallet, that's a model that is responsible for generating and controlling a cryptographic keys. So the hardware wallet can have no connection with external world. So that's only like responsible for keeping your keys in some protected environment and signing and using these keys for signing different transactions, etc., etc. And later you can use another device for scanning this like complete transaction, for scanning or for receiving with like some different methods. and later you can use only like this this application with online mode for sending this transaction to Bitcoin network. But the most important part of the wallet, that's the part that should be protected, and that's clear. So that's a part that's responsible for managing cryptographic keys, because you can't have a wallet without this part. If you use that, that's not a wallet. But wallet can be without screen. Wallet can be without like internet connection. A wallet can be without displaying your full transaction history, because the most significant part of the wallet is the ability to keep your keys, derived new keys, or generated derived, and use these keys for signature producing. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Bogdan in the chat raised an interesting kind of statement. He said that you need to call all your stuff a wallet, not only a hardware piece. So it's interesting because it still seems to me that what the definition of wallet, what I understood as a wallet,
okay.
is just that piece that generates the key and it stores the key away. Say in the case of hardware wallet, away from the internet.
Yeah. Just what the wallet is something, some part of software or hardware that can manage your cryptographic keys. But there are a lot of different types of wallets. So you can heard before warm wallets, hot wallets, cold wallets. That's wallets that are built using like totally different principles. So cold wallet, it's something that is that don't like this part of hardware doesn't have like any internet connection. So it's processed your keys only like in some physical environment, and it can provide you some transaction in complete form, in the form of QR code or something like that. So hot wallet have online connection. It's like more useful because you can see actual balance on this wallet. You can see like all transaction history. You can generate keys and sign the transaction and instantly send this transaction to the network. But this kind of wallet is not so protected as a cold wallet, because at least the requirement of online connection by default makes your environment is like less protected. So wallets is something that allows that helps you to manage your own keys. That's it. So for example, if you use Binance application, that's not a wallet. It's only like application that can receive data from Binance side and display that on your screen, but that's not a wallet, obviously. But if you have the part of application that can derive cryptographic keys and can use it for forming true transactions, that's a wallet. It can be without internet, it can be with internet. As I said, it can be part of software or hardware, it doesn't matter. If your wallet can generate keys and control them, that's a true wallet. If that's just some kind of applications that have a connection with services of some organization, it's not a wallet.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, I think I was right. Thank you. And if I may ask a second question, more of an open question. There were also from the quiz. It was about whether quantum computing is a threat to cryptocurrencies. And I know not much about quantum computing, so I was wondering if you could explore this a little bit, if this is relevant, and explain whether quantum computing is a threat or not. And then the second part of the question is, do you know or do you foresee any threats to, let's say, Bitcoin protocol in the future. So any threats that you would that could be real. For example, maybe 51% attack could be real under certain conditions. Maybe if the price grows and the cost of transaction grows or something like that. So what's the threat of quantum computing, and are there any other threats that you think are real now or in the future? Thanks.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for asking. So yeah, the most significant vulnerabilities that can be when like scientists invent like the quantum computer is the current cryptocurrency. Mostly they use crypto algorithms that can be broken after this quantum computer is like invented. For example, Bitcoin use CDSA signatures. That's the signatures that use elliptic curves, and there is a task that so the security model of the signature is based on it's pretty difficult to know the logarithm of the point on elliptic curve, because if you're able to find this logarithm, you can break like the signature scheme. And the quantum computers and theory can complete this task pretty efficient way. And all schemes that use signatures with elliptic curves, as well the schemes that use RSA-based algorithms that potentially can be broken. Is it a problem? Yeah, that's a huge problem. But actually, it's not a big deal in theory to change some signing algorithm. For example, in the future, Bitcoin can use not a CDSA, but some post-quantum algorithm for the signature. These protocols is being developed right now, and mostly they are based on, there are different constructions, but scientists think that hash functions, the current hash functions, can't be broken by the quantum computer, because under the hood, the mathematical operations in hash functions can't be broken by this type of computer, because it's like different math. And if we're saying that quantum computers can affect on the majority problem, when you need to have 50+ percentage of the full power for breaking the consensus, that's false, because proof of work requires for you calculating hash values a lot of times. And if you have like a quantum computer, it will not allow you to do that more efficient way, very more efficient way. But if we are talking about the quantum computer can affect on digital signature algorithm that is used by current accounting systems, that's true. But I don't think that's a problem, because community can decide and can switch to new algorithms anytime. They just will, provide a new standard and say, okay, we will use the CDSA, but additionally we will use some kind of post-quantum signature algorithm. And you can use like the previous one, but you can use a new standard, and this way you can protect your money. So from this perspective, quantum computer can't affect on your money if you will change your signature algorithm. If you don't do that, you will lose your money. But that's a responsibility of each separate participant.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
So I hope everyone was interested. Thank you so much, Alexander. Thank you so much for all. All questions were answered in the chat. Feel free to ask questions in the classroom. And after this lecture, you have a quiz or test, and the deadline will be the same. Before the next lecture, please be attentive. Good luck and see you soon.
Okay, yeah, thanks for attention. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Goodbye.